God could have made me anything in this world, and he made me a black woman. That is it. That is the post.
Well, we're learning more this morning about a woman allegedly murdered by her Uber driver just yards from her home.
Metro Police now tell us that Uber driver allegedly confessed to that murder. Matthew Foltz is following this story this morning with more on a crime that police are calling not only disturbing but disgusting. Good morning, Matthew.
Hey, good morning to you both. This is just a heartbreaking story all the way around. Metro Police telling us that they have arrested 29-year-old Francisco Valdez in connection to Chanti Dixon's murder. Now, officers say that they found Dixon on Sunday naked in a wooded area along Wagner Lane near East Raymond and Shervin Drive. She was found with gunshot wounds and pronounced dead at the scene. According to court documents, Dixon had ordered an Uber after she got off work around 3:30 Sunday morning. Police say Valdez gave investigators conflicting statements before admitting to shooting Dixon in the head while he was trying to have sex with her in the back of his car. Police also claims Dixon made him mad with something she said before shooting her.
This is disgusting, it's disturbing, and we, Ms. Dixon especially, her family, no one deserves to be treated this way in our community, and I am so sorry to her family that we're here today.
Indianapolis, 3:31 a.m. on a quiet Sunday. A simple decision that millions make every day, opening a rideshare app to get home safely. For 30-year-old Chanti Dixon, this ordinary choice became her last. As her finger tap confirmed on the Uber app, she couldn't know that the driver approaching, 29-year-old Francisco Valdez, would be the last person to see her alive. Within hours, she'd be reported missing. By the next afternoon, her body would be discovered near a wooded area, shot and abandoned. What went wrong? How did a routine ride turn deadly? She followed every safety precaution, ordered to the official app, waited in a public area, entered a registered vehicle. Yet somehow, her ride home became a one-way journey. As investigators reconstructed the events, they discovered disturbing details. A vehicle that deviated from its route, a phone that suddenly stopped transmitting, a driver whose story kept changing. This is a haunting, true story of how a mother of two vanished into the night. If you value stories that reveal the truth about cases that change lives and communities, hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support helps us continue bringing these important stories to light. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from as we uncover what really happened that fateful morning. Chanti Dixon lived a life defined by responsibility and routine. A 30-year-old single mother raising two children, Dayson, 13, and Kiani, 10. Her world revolved around providing stability for her family. Public records showed no criminal history. No troubling patterns, nothing that would place her at risk. She maintained a modest home in a working-class Indianapolis neighborhood, living quietly and focusing on her children's needs. Her employment required late-night shifts, making ride-sharing services essential for her commute. Without a personal vehicle, Chanti relied on Uber to navigate between work and home. According to her employer, she never missed shifts, frequently worked overtime, and maintained professional demeanor that earned her respect from colleagues. She was always about her kids, recalled a co-worker during the investigation. Every extra shift was for them. School supplies, better food, saving for their future. That's who she was. Her digital footprint revealed a mother deeply devoted to her children. Social media posts featured family photos, parenting quotes, and work updates. Nothing controversial, nothing risky, just the everyday life of a woman working to provide. Phone records showed regular communication with family, work contacts, and church friends. No unusual messages, no threats, no signs of trouble approaching. On weekends, Chanti attended church services and participated in parenting groups. Neighbors describe her as reserved but reliable. Always on time, always focused on those kids, said one resident. The type who'd wave hello but kept to herself mostly. Never any trouble. The fateful night began like any other. Chanti finished her shift around 3 a.m. on that Sunday morning. Security footage from her workplace showed her exiting alone. dressed in her regular work clothes, appearing normal and composed. There were no signs of distress, no unusual interactions, just a woman finishing work and heading home. At approximately 3:31 a.m., she opened the Uber app and requested a ride. The system assigned Francisco Valdez, a 29-year-old driver with no reported incidents on his Uber profile. The ride was accepted, the pickup location confirmed, and the destination set, her home, about 18 minutes away under normal traffic conditions. The digital record showed Valdez arriving at the pickup point. Chanti entered the vehicle and they departed. For the first 7 minutes, the route proceeded normally. Then came a critical deviation. The car turned away from the residential area where Chanti lived, heading instead toward an isolated area on the outskirts of the city. Chanti's phone data showed a final signal ping near this location, a wooded area that would later become a crime scene. After this point, her digital presence vanished. No calls, no texts, no app activity, just silence. As morning broke across Indianapolis, concern began to grow. Chanti hadn't returned home. Her children were with a relative that weekend, but she always checked in. Calls to her phone went straight to voicemail. Text messages remained unread. This behavior was completely out of character for a woman whose life ran on consistent patterns. If you're finding this case as compelling as is disturbing, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Every subscriber helps us continue telling these important stories that need to be heard. Now, let's return to the unfolding search for Chanti Dixon. By 10 a.m., Chanti's sister had filed a missing person report with the Indianapolis Metropolitan Police Department. The report included critical information. Chanti was last seen entering an Uber. She hadn't returned home, and all attempts to contact her had failed. Police began standard procedures, contacting Uber for ride information, reviewing phone records, and interviewing family members. While these initial steps were underway, a jogger made a horrified discovery near the intersection of Pleasant Run Parkway and Arlington Avenue, a woman's body, partially concealed in a wooded area. Responding officers secured the scene. The victim showed signs of physical assault and multiple gunshot wounds. Personal items, her phone and purse, were missing. Within hours, fingerprint comparison confirmed what many already feared. The deceased was Chanti Dixon. The timeline was now clear. Chanti had been picked up by an Uber at 3:31 a.m. By the following afternoon, she was found murdered. The investigation shifted to her final hours and the person who had last seen her alive, her Uber driver, Francisco Valdez. When contacted by investigators, Valdez offered his first explanation. Chanti had exited his vehicle about 10 minutes into the ride, claiming she felt unsafe and preferred to walk. He couldn't specify the exact location, offering only vague descriptions of a roadside stop. This account immediately raised red flags. The GPS data from Uber's system didn't show any stops that would indicate a passenger exit. The route also ended in an industrial area with low traffic, not somewhere a woman would choose to walk alone at 3:30 a.m. When confronted with these inconsistencies, Valdez changed his story. Now he claimed Chanti had requested to be dropped at an unfamiliar address. This sudden narrative shift, combined with the location data contradictions, prompted investigators to examine his vehicle. A forensic search revealed crucial evidence. Chanti's DNA was found on the rear passenger floor mat and seat, confirming she had remained in the vehicle throughout the ride. More damning still, technicians discovered a .40 caliber shell casing concealed beneath the floor liner in the cargo area, matching a legally registered handgun owned by Valdez. External evidence supported these findings. Surveillance footage from a warehouse captured a vehicle matching Valdez's car driving into the wooded lot at 4:02 a.m., precisely where Chanti's body would later be discovered. The footage showed the vehicle remaining parked for approximately 7 minutes before departing. No other vehicles entered or exited during this time frame. The digital trail formed an undeniable chain of evidence. Uber ride logs, phone location data, DNA samples, ballistic analysis, and surveillance video all pointed to Francisco Valdez. 2 days after Chanti's body was discovered, police obtained an arrest warrant. Valdez was taken into custody at his residence without incident. During the arrest, officers seized his electronic devices for forensic examination. The digital analysis revealed attempted cover-up efforts, deleted text messages, wiped navigation records, and a factory reset attempt on his phone. Despite these efforts, forensic tools recovered partial data that further reinforced the timeline.
An Uber driver is arrested for the murder of 30-year-old Chanti Dixon, who was missing this weekend. The driver confessed to killing Dixon. ITV's Kat Sandoval pieces together what happened.
This is where Chanti Dixon's body was found, in the woods on a dead-end street on Wagner Lane. It's also just a few feet away from her apartment. Police say 29-year-old Uber driver Francisco Valdez drove Dixon to the scene Sunday morning. Valdez told police he initially attempted to have sex with Dixon in the back of his car, but he got angry with her. He later admitted to police he shot her in the head in his car, then hid Dixon's body behind the concrete barrier. He also said he tried to have sex with her again. Dixon was found naked with a sweatshirt pulled over her head and arms, lying on her stomach.
As a woman, this hits differently for me. Women, girls, mothers, they have a right to exist freely in our community without fear of something heinous happening to them. They have a right to walk, bike, order a ride share without fearing something bad will happen to them.
At his arraignment, Valdez entered a not guilty plea. The court denied bail, citing flight risk and the severity of the charges. As media coverage intensified, family members and community leaders began speaking publicly about safety failures within the rideshare system. In pre-trial hearings, the prosecution successfully argued for the inclusion of all digital and forensic evidence. The defense attempted to frame the shooting as accidental, claiming that Chanti had become aggressive during the ride, resulting in a struggle with a gun discharged unintentionally. This narrative collapsed under forensic scrutiny. Gunpowder residue tests confirmed the shot was fired at close range and an angle inconsistent with defensive firing. There was no evidence of Chanti's DNA on the weapon, indicating she never touched it. Most damaging to the defense was a recorded police interrogation where Valdez admitted to panicking after the incident and abandoning the body without calling for medical assistance. If you're still with us and value in-depth coverage of true crime cases, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Your support makes it possible for us to continue bringing you thorough examinations of cases that matter. Now, let's continue with the trial of Francisco Valdez. The trial lasted 9 days, with 6 prosecution witnesses and 3 for the defense. After 4 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a unanimous verdict: guilty on all counts: first-degree murder, attempted sexual assault, and obstruction of justice. During sentencing, the judge cited the planned deception and cover-up efforts as aggravating factors. Valdez received life in prison without the possibility of parole. While justice was served in the courtroom, broader questions remain about how this tragedy could have been prevented. The case spotlighted critical gaps in ride-share safety protocols. When Chanti's family first realized she was missing, they immediately contacted Uber but encountered frustrating barriers. According to family statements, the company's automated support channels provided limited real-time information, creating delays during the critical early hours of her disappearance. Uber's policy required official law enforcement requests before releasing detailed location data. By the time investigators obtained this information, crucial evidence had already begun to degrade. This procedural gap between concerned families and rideshare corporations raised serious questions about emergency response protocols. Another glaring issue was the absence of surveillance cameras inside the vehicle. Unlike many commercial taxi services, rideshare vehicles aren't required to have internal recording devices. Without visual evidence of what transpired inside the car, prosecutors had to rely on digital tracking, physical evidence, and eventual confession to reconstruct events. The timing of Chanti's ride, 3:31 a.m., highlighted vulnerabilities during overnight hours when passenger risk increases due to reduced visibility, fewer witnesses, and limited police presence. This raised policy questions about whether stricter protocols should exist for late-night rideshare operations. Uber's official statement acknowledged the incident and confirmed Valdez had been permanently removed from their platform. However, they didn't clarify what specific information was reviewed during his initial approval process, raising concerns about the depth and effectiveness of their background screening. According to a report released by Uber in 2019, there were over 3,000 sexual assault reports in the U.S. within a single year, with 92% of victims never pursuing legal action or media attention. This statistic raised troubling questions about how many similar incidents go unreported or unresolved. The human impact of Chanti's murder extended far beyond the courtroom. She left behind 2 children, Dixon and Kiani, who were placed under relatives' care. The long-term psychological effects of losing their mother to such violence remain an ongoing concern, though family members confirmed the children were receiving counseling and support. Community response was immediate and heartfelt. A GoFundMe campaign launched shortly after Chanti's death raised over $17,000 for funeral expenses and to support her children's needs. Local residents organized a candlelight vigil at the site where her body was found, with dozens gathered to honor her memory and call for rideshare safety reforms. The case generated national media coverage and intensified scrutiny of rideshare safety protocols, especially for women traveling alone. News outlet highlighted similar cases across the country, prompting consumers to demand increased transparency and stronger protective measures from companies like Uber and Lyft. A petition titled Chanti's Law began circulating, advocating for mandatory installation of internal surveillance cameras in all rideshare vehicles. The proposal also suggested automated emergency alerts if rides significantly deviate from their original routes without passenger confirmation. The petition gained thousands of signatures and was under review by Indiana government officials considering state-level regulations. If you're finding value in this detailed examination of rideshare safety issues, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your engagement helps this important information reach more viewers. Let's continue exploring the implications of the Chanti Dixon case. For law enforcement, the investigation highlighted the growing importance of digital evidence in modern crime solving. GPS tracking data, phone records, app logs, and surveillance video form the backbone of the case against Valdez. Without this digital trail, the outcome might have been very different. For rideshare users, especially women traveling alone at night, the case underscored the need for heightened vigilance. Safety experts began advocating for more consistent use of app features like trip sharing, which allows trusted contacts to monitor rides in real time. They also recommended verifying driver information before entering vehicles and maintaining phone calls with friends during late-night trips. For the rideshare industry, the case exposed significant liability concerns. While companies like Uber conduct background checks, critics argue these screenings often lack depth and fail to identify concerning behavioral patterns that have resulted in criminal convictions. The industry faced mounting pressure to implement more rigorous driver vetting and continuous monitoring. Legal experts noted that rideshare companies operate in a regulatory gray area, neither fully classified as public transportation nor as traditional taxi services in many jurisdictions. This ambiguity creates confusion about which safety standards apply and who bears responsibility for enforcing them. The psychological aspects of the case were equally disturbing. What caused a driver with no prior criminal convictions to commit such violence? While the court established Valdez's guilt beyond reasonable doubt, the motive remained unclear. Was it a crime of opportunity? A planned attack? The answer might never be fully known. What is clear is that Chanti Dixon represented countless women who rely on rideshare services out of necessity. As a single mother working late shifts, she depended on these platforms to maintain her employment and support her children. Her murder raised uncomfortable questions about whether essential services adequately protect vulnerable users. The ripple effects extended to consumer behavior. In the weeks following extensive media coverage of the case, rideshare companies reported noticeable declines in late-night bookings by female passengers in several markets. This economic impact accelerated industry discussions about implementing additional safety features. Technology companies began developing third-party solutions to address these concerns. New apps emerged that offered additional layers of ride verification, real-time monitoring, and emergency response options that integrated with existing rideshare platforms. These innovations represented market-driven responses to heightened safety awareness. Police departments across the country began updating their protocols for handling rideshare-related incidents. Some created specialized units focused on digital evidence collection and accelerated response procedures for missing persons last seen using transportation apps. Training programs incorporated lessons learned from the Dixon investigation. Academic researchers initiated studies examining rideshare safety patterns, particularly focusing on late-night hours and solo female passengers. Early findings suggested that certain combinations of factors, timing, location, driver history, and passenger demographics, correlated with increased risk profiles. If this examination of systemic issues has been informative, please support our channel by subscribing and sharing this video with others who might benefit from this awareness. Now, let's explore the practical lessons that emerged from this tragedy. The most immediate lesson was the importance of driver verification. Safety experts emphasize that passengers should never enter vehicles without confirming the license plate, driver photo, and name displayed in the app. This simple check might have saved Chanti's life. Understanding rideshare app safety features became recognized as essential knowledge. GPS sharing, panic buttons, and trip tracking options exist in most major platforms but remain underutilized. Regular users were encouraged to familiarize themselves with these tools before needing them in emergencies. The case reinforced that late-night and early morning rides carry inherently higher risks. Passengers traveling during these hours were advised to take additional precautions, sharing trip details with trusted contacts, maintaining phone communication during rides, and avoiding isolated pickup or drop-off locations. For rideshare companies, the message was clear. Background checks alone proved insufficient. Industry experts began advocating for deeper behavioral and psychological screening, continuous monitoring systems, and more responsive complaint investigation procedures. The goal was preventing potentially dangerous individuals from accessing the driver platform in the first place. Law enforcement gained valuable insights about the critical importance of rapid response in rideshare-related disappearances. The digital evidence trail deteriorates quickly, and companies' privacy policies can create obstacles to information access. Updated protocols now emphasize expedited data requests and preservation orders when transportation apps are involved in missing persons cases. Community activists recognize that collective advocacy could drive meaningful change. The momentum behind Chanti's Law demonstrated how tragedy could catalyze policy reform when channeled through organized public pressure. This grassroots approach became a model for similar initiatives in other states. For families, the case highlighted the devastating ripple effects of violence. Chanti's children faced growing up without their mother, a permanent, irreversible consequence extending far beyond the legal proceedings. Support services for surviving family members became recognized as an essential component of the criminal justice response. The investigation process itself evolved in response to lessons learned. Digital forensics teams developed new techniques for extracting and analyzing rideshare data, creating standardized procedures that improved efficiency in similar cases. These methodological advances represented a silver lining, helping future investigations proceed more effectively. Public awareness about rideshare safety increased dramatically following extensive coverage of the case. Educational programs emerged in schools, community centers, and online platforms, teaching practical safety strategies for transportation app users. This knowledge dissemination represented a constructive response to tragedy. Perhaps most importantly, the case challenged a fundamental assumption that technology-mediated services automatically provide safety through visibility and tracking. The digital infrastructure that enables ride-sharing created valuable evidence after the fact, but failed to prevent the crime itself. This realization prompted deeper questions about the limitations of tech-based safety measures. If you found this analysis valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel for more in-depth examinations of cases that reveal important societal issues. Your support allows us to continue this work. Now, let's look at the lasting impact of Chanti Dixon's case. In the years following Chanti Dixon's murder, several concrete changes emerged in response to the case and similar incidents. Multiple states introduced legislation requiring enhanced safety features for rideshare operations, particularly during overnight hours. Companies implemented improved emergency response protocols and driver monitoring systems. The conversation about rideshare safety shifted from individual responsibility to systematic protection. Rather than placing the burden entirely on passengers to protect themselves, regulators and companies began acknowledging their role in creating safer operational environments. This represented a significant shift in perspective. For Chanti's family, no policy change would restore what was lost. Her children continued growing up without their mother, attending school events, celebrating birthdays, facing challenges with her absence as a permanent reality. The $17,000 raised through community support provided financial assistance, but couldn't fill the emotional void. The legal system delivered its version of justice. Francisco Valdez received life imprisonment without parole. For some, this outcome represented appropriate consequences. For others, it highlighted the limitations of punitive responses that come too late to prevent irreparable harm. The digital breadcrumbs that led investigators to Valdez, GPS tracking, phone data, app logs, reveal both the power and limitations of technology in ensuring public safety. These tools proved invaluable for solving the crime, but insufficient for preventing it. This paradox continues challenging technology companies developing next-generation safety features. Today, when passengers open rideshare apps, many do so with greater awareness of both convenience and risk. The story of Chanti Dixon, a mother simply trying to get home from work, serves as a sobering reminder that routine decisions can have profound consequences when safety measures fail. Her legacy lives on through Chanti's Law advocacy efforts, which continue pushing for mandatory in-vehicle cameras, automated route deviation alerts, and enhanced driver screening procedures. While implementation remains inconsistent across jurisdictions, the conversation about passenger protection has permanently changed. For the millions who rely on rideshare services daily, Chanti's story offers practical lessons. Verify driver information, share trip details with trusted contacts, use in-app safety features, maintain awareness during rides, and trust instincts when something feels wrong. These simple steps can guarantee safety, but they create important layers of protection. The question remains, is that enough? Can technology, policy, and individual vigilance combine to prevent similar tragedies? The answer continues evolving as rideshare companies introduce new safety features, legislators consider additional regulations, and consumers demand greater protection. What's certain is that Chanti Dixon's story changed how we view the intersection of technology, transportation, and personal safety. A routine ride home became the centerpiece of a national conversation about trust, verification, and responsibility in the digital age. Her life and how it ended continues influencing safety protocols that affect millions of passengers every day. If this examination of the Chanti Dixon case has provided valuable insights, please support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. Your engagement helps ensure these important stories reach those who need to hear them. Thank you for joining us in remembering Chanti Dixon and the lasting impact of her case. Remember, safety requires vigilance, awareness, and sometimes questioning the systems we rely on daily. Until next time, take care of yourselves and each other.